complex does not need to be convoluted. In today's Camp Dram, we're going to talk about a Highland that has lots of layers of sweet, waxy honey goodness. Definitely a complex Camp Dram. I'm Leanne, and this is Scotch on the Bayou, where we talk about the wonders of Scotch whiskey and the flavor of life in Louisiana. And today's Camp Dram is AnCnoc 12 from the Knockdhu Distillery. AnCnoc 12 comes in at 43 ABV here for us in the States. For those in the UK, you get the 40% version, and sorry about that. It's got a great honey waxy scent to it right off the bat, and that's why I picked the bee yard here at the camp to do this little video. This is quite viscous and oily. The color is a light amber, and as you swirl it really clings to the glass and just works its way back to the base liquid. So on the nose for this, we're getting just really super floral notes, like almost geranium, an herbal type floralness to it, with definite notes of waxiness in the honey. Super sweet honey smell. And it's almost that earthy smell, you know, that you get from honey. It's not floral. It's more just earthen, and I guess the waxy part. And it kind of brings in the thought of honeycomb with just that chunk of wax. I don't know if any of y'all as kids would get honeycomb and almost chew it like gum, you know. But you get that waxy, honey, sweet smell off of this. And let's go for the taste. That first bit of taste hits you with the sweet, and then it slides straight into this herbal, grassy, lemongrass type flair to it. Dry on the end, and then definite pepper. You get the sweet on the front end and this kind of a sour dryness. Again with the herbal. This is moving lots of different places. And that's what I mean about this one being complex. So this is made in the Highlands at Knockdhu Distillery. And they use second fill bourbon and sherry cask American oak to do their maturation for the 12. And you definitely can pick up parts of just that vanilla kind of honey off the bourbon matured, and I'm sure that sherry's just in there to give it a little kick of sweetness. But you know, most people think about a complex Scotch as being maybe a heavily peated, layered Islay, or perhaps some major sherry bomb from Spey. And I've actually had someone argue with me that nothing from the Highlands could be complex because they just use bourbon barrels, and how difficult is that? And to me, you know, that was a bless his heart moment. It truly was. I was as nice as I could be, because I said, well, you need to sit down and have a drink of this AnCnoc 12, because this is a complex whiskey without being convoluted. And so what do we mean by complex? And complex is a connection of different things, pieces and parts, but they're connected, right? You think of an interstate system, and these roads are all connected, but there's lots of pieces and parts. And that's a big part of this, because the connection is very important. Otherwise you have chaos. And I'm sure you've had a dram where you're thinking you smell one thing and it tastes like something completely different. There's no connection there. But with this, there's a connection from what you're getting off of the nose into the palate, and as it carries you on that interstate and on that journey of the dram, you see how many layers there are, and you can recognize how it rolls through your palate. And to me, that is a brilliant whiskey, and one that should be celebrated for its complexity. So here's a caveat about this dram. It's probably not for a beginner. Probably not for somebody who's just coming off of bourbon into whiskey, into scotch. This needs some patience. This needs a little time. Time in the glass to sit, but also time to allow it to talk to you. I picked this bottle up after watching my buddy Roy, Aquavitae, do one of his recycled reviews. And he talked about it being a whiskey that needed patience. And I'm like, you know what? I'm up for a challenge. I want to try that. And I did. And if I had just had it right off, I probably wouldn't have gotten a second chance. But after sitting with it and really letting it do what it needed to in the glass, and I was further along in my journey, it turned out to be a great choice. So if you had this dram, the AnCnoc 12, let me know in the comments below if you've had it and so what you thought about it, or if you've had any other expressions by AnCnoc. I really like what's coming out of it. I've had the 16, which was almost effervescent, and the 18 is one of my probably top 5s right now. So give the distillery a shot, and again, let me know. And if you've got an idea of what a complex whiskey is to you, please leave that in the comments below as well, because I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that. I've written a full review on this bottle and a handful of others on my blog, scotchonthebayou.com. So take a moment and go visit and bookmark it. It's got some fun stuff. And I always include little tidbits about Louisiana. For example, again, we're in the bee yard. My husband Mark and our other camp neighbor Sharon actually keep bees. And Sharon's husband Clay takes pictures of the bees, and he and I are the smart ones because we stay way away while they're in their suits and opening up and taking care of the girls as we speak. So even though we're in winter, the bees have something to work, and so they're out working the wildflowers, anything that they have that's blooming, and there's always something blooming down here. Now while these two hives back here look rather dormant, they are. It's winter time, and so the population of the beehives are really low at the moment, but they've got a queen, and the queen's still making bees, and they're all girls, of course, because they do all the work. You know, the boys are there for just one reason, and then they go away. This past summer, they were able to get about 35 pounds of honey off of these hives, and that's a little low, but they're new hives. They've not been down here and been established very long, and they're excited, Mark and Sharon are, to get the spring going, and this place will be alive with different things for the bees to work. We have a lake that's south of us, and huge water lilies bloom in the summer, and the fragrance is just incredible. And we know that the bees can make it all that way to work the pollen and enjoy the nectar to bring back to make us the honey. And it's actually quite interesting how this is very herbal, and then it goes, you know, very floral, and then it goes into the honey. And it's very similar to what the bee does, of getting that nectar and then making it into the honey. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today, and until we see you again here at the camp, Slàinte, y'all.